huge loaf. And then I got the idea to cook.
Shut it, what? The dance that you're doing is dumb. How they do, where you from? Hey, sticking out your tongue, girl, but you know you're too young. A bunch of girls do it and the shit look fun. That's how they do it, where we from. Hey, you know it don't start till 1. That's how they do it, where they from.
Yeah, I got a pregnant feral up on Kearney Road and she is spooked.
Did you give me this gift card to Chili's? No. Do you want a gift card to Chili's?
I'm talking about this.
I really trust you with this stuff.
There's no reason you should.
What?
This is
the Pixar Sad Lab. We work on making our audiences cry as much as possible.
I'm a sketch comedian and actress. I know basketball.
Their ceiling is our stage, and we're dancing across it.
And you ain't gotta be a Mason to see through some of this shit on occasion. What? The dance that you're doing is dumb.
I get a big fat check every time I say Hyundai Veloster. It pays to book direct.
Hair should never sound like you sat on a bag of chips.
I'm so tired of you guys thinking you're better than us.
Did you guys hear somebody talking?
I'm like, what?
Just speak from your heart. Or what? Oh, my heart. Heck, of course.
Make sure you don't leave the house like this. Do both of them.
She was gonna be the first person to run a marathon without telling anyone about it.
You know what I want? Alec Baldwin to admit he's my dad.
Settle down.
You settle down.
I would if I could, but no one's marrying me.
I'm so far ahead of y'all. Man, I'm on top of the
Sylvia,
Buy Amy a pack of ciggies.
buy him.
No, that's not the plan. Start over.
1 sec. Start the Wrangler.
That's what I call my dude, Wrangler.
Check out aboveaverage.com.
And subscribe to Above Average.
It's exciting for people and horses.
That's how they do it, where they from.
That's Above Average. For a little bit of context and backstory, 4 years ago, I left my job as a producer for Saturday Night Live to launch Above Average with Lauren and Broadway Video. And the reason that we launched Above Average really was creator-driven. There were so many creators within the landscape of Broadway Video that were just looking for an outlet to make cool things. And a lot of it was about their passion that was driving what it was. And over time, there was sort of, I don't want to go into it saying we had no business plan on day one, but we really didn't have much of a plan on day one. And we're lucky and fortunate enough to have opportunities come our way out of the content that we presented. I think everybody in this room can probably admit that making branded content is not always easy. There's definitely a tightrope there. And one of the biggest connections that I think is the most important is really making sure that the place that we're connecting is between the brands and the content creators themselves. And so I really wanted to take this opportunity to make sure that we were doing just that. A very, very wise man once told me to connect the principles. And in this case, the principals are the brands and content creators. So this is Chioke Nassor. And Chioke has now become a dear friend, but originally he was somebody who we just started making things with. A lot of his work was featured in that reel, but we also launched a web series, very, very aptly called Storytime. That web series is now a pilot at Comedy Central. In the last several years since we originally launched the series, you've been a director on Seth Meyers' show. That's true. You've done a number of other projects as well. But I thought it would be great to hear directly from Chioke and about the things that he's been creating to see how to best connect the two. So perhaps we could start with giving a little bit of a backstory about the sort of how that web series came to be and that evolution.
So the web series that we're talking about is Storytime, and the premise of it is comedians tell stories and they play all the parts. And the way it came about is I'm very lazy and I don't like doing a lot of work. So I wanted to do a series for myself where I could ask as few favors as possible, and then that started doing kind of well as a beta version. And then we ended up working with Sashir Zameda, who is now a cast member on SNL, to kind of sort of showcase what we would do with Above Average, and we use that an incubator, and then started doing like a lot of, we did like I think two seasons of cycles of work with a lot of different comedians who are all very, very funny and talented. And it became sort of like a pet project that I was doing while working at Late Night with Seth Meyers.
Yep. There is I think a brief clip that we can show that gives just a little bit of a view into what story time looked like.
Sure.
Ever since I moved to New York, people are always asking me if I've ever had a New York moment. Like they'll say, oh my God, Aparna, have you ever had like a New York moment? Well, one time I saw a black guy with a mohawk walk by a white guy with a mohawk, and they both high-fived.
And I think that gives a brief glimpse into what that is. But one of the great things I think that you were able to do with this was really to, at the same time, you were finding the storyteller's passion about a story that they were passionate about, that they were excited about to come spend the day with you to shoot on. And I thought that my bet is Comedy Central, in looking to develop that, probably saw that as an opportunity.
We actually got approached first by IFC, and they were like, we really like the series, we'd love to see what it would look like if it was developed into a half hour. And then when talking with Above Average, we were like, who else would be a good fit? And Comedy Central is very high on the list, mainly because it's a place that's very comedian friendly. And then this project is great because it's a showcase for comedians to kind of like just do all the things. And if you are someone who is a little bit of a narcissist, like most comedians, this is like a great vehicle. I mean, they're cool. They're so cool, guys. They're the best.
What do you think would have been different if you had engaged with a brand on day one?
Money. Probably like a lot of money. I'm assuming we'd have a lot of money and maybe a lot of money.
A lot of money.
That and maybe the platform itself, probably being able to spread it over a couple different areas. The thing that I like about doing this show, with somebody like Aparna, it's a really great way to do a partnership with a brand, in that Aparna is somebody who's really funny. When we started working with her, she wasn't super well known, but then recently, I think like a month ago, she got a tweet from Tom Hanks that was like, Aparna is one of my favorite people of all time. And it's nice because we're able to showcase people who aren't necessarily like super famous, along with people who are very, very recognizable, and then develop relationships with them so that when we do end up doing like brand projects, there's already like a nice synthesis.
Yep, and the same goes in front of the camera and behind the camera. I would argue that you are one of the coolest in the way that you are a producer, a director, a creator, right? I
Sure.
mean, and I find in this digital landscape that we're in now, that becomes less and less unusual. But that's such a great thing because you can experiment on the digital side, right? And people have the skills to be able to do things on their own. So when you say you started it out of laziness, a lot of it though, you did this all by yourself.
Yeah.
So that means from the editing side and really overseeing it, and from the overall concept side, and in terms of what that looks like.
It's a lot harder to make something from when you have a lot of money and experiment. That's one thing that's nice about having like shorter form projects, is that you can kind of take a risk on something and know that you're not really going to break any big eggs, which is nice. And then from a comedy point of view, it's great to be in a space where it's safe. You can try things out and know that you can just be the funniest possible, and that's the end goal.
Yep. And is there something that you as a creator just really want brands to know?
I mean, on a personal level, I like it when at the very beginning of a project, you're able to have a conversation, everybody be on the same page. And then after that, sort of like having the brand step back and letting people who are really funny do the thing. Because a lot of times what will happen is, everyone, for all intents and purposes, has a funny side, but there are also people who are professionals who do it for a living, who have a lot of experience working directly with audiences and seeing what will work. And it's hard to be able to get the best from that person if you're micromanaging.
There's a lot of the discussion is about, what would have been different. So like, is there something that's intrinsically different about editorial and when you do branded work? I feel like a lot of the time it's presented as a push and a pull.
I mean, we're kind of all ending up at the same destination. When I was at Late Night, our goal is the audience directly. So you're writing content and you're making something and then we're sort of beta testing it in front of like a test audience before a live audience. And in that way, we're making sure that things work for the audience directly. But for brands, I think at the end of the day, the work that I've done for brands are still trying to get to an audience. So it's still the same organic process. It's just making sure that everyone is working on it together so that we remember the end goal is always that the audience engagement is really high and that the experience is fun, and that if you have a project that people are actually really invested in and they're having a good time, it shows and it becomes infectious and you want to share it.
And so to me, that really means the end game doesn't have to be different, meaning the editorial does not have to be different from branded content as long as everybody's starting together on day one. And I do think that creators are incredibly open to that and see it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
As a generalization, perhaps, but I'm sure you feel that way in terms of what you've seen, especially in the digital space, that you welcome having those conversations.
I don't think it's an accident that there are so many celebrities in this reel and that a lot of those are for branded projects. People are not afraid to do branded projects as long as they're able to maintain, what their own brand is. Because you're having someone who's like, I have a reputation as being a comedian who does this, and I want to marry that with X brand, and as long as it doesn't diminish my value, then I'm happy to play around.
Yep. So sort of to wrap it up as a thought, I think something that we feel very strongly about at Above Average is pairing those people together from day one. We very much feel that we are a partner to brands, a partner to creators, a partner to platforms in the comedy space. And I think that being able to push forward on those collaborative efforts is super, super important. Everybody says the authentic part, but to ensure that authenticity, that seems to be sort of how to make the magic happen.
Yeah.
I know everybody's really excited to get to the bar.
Yes, me too.
So I wanted to close with one of my favorite pieces of content that we have done with a brand. This was a collaboration with Lexus. It was created by two Saturday Night Live writers, Paula Pell and James Anderson. It is about their desire to leave their high-pressure jobs in New York City to find a kinder life in the Hudson Valley. So this is called Hudson Valley Ballers, and it may have a cameo by that very wise man that I referred to at the beginning of the conversation.
This is it. This is our big day.
Yes. Yes, why don't you go? You get it all set up, and I join you a year later.
James, we are doing this. We're gonna be strong.
If he cries when we quit, I am gonna full out wet my pajama jeans.
Oh, God, if he cries, I'm gonna cry, but we have to be strong. Okay? And by the way, pajama jeans are not just jeans you slept in. Hi, Lorne.
Hi.
Thanks for seeing us on such short notice. Lorne, we just love the shit out of you.
We do.
We had an idea where we would go to the Hudson Valley and open up a B&B.
And die there.
I think it's time.
Kill a fuck.
Comedy writing's like an avocado. Once it's too soft, you really don't want it in your guacamole.
That's a good point.
We good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're good. Yeah.
I think that did the job. That was good.
I gotta see now.
Okay.
I think we just got fired.
Did he fire us? Or did we just get fired? I think that we should make this opportunity an opportunity. Get in the car, go to the Hudson Valley, get our B&B running. We're gonna do this, James. I need to get a lot of food on the way there. I wanna get a whole pizza just myself. Not a personal pan pizza, a bigger one, but I'm going to use it as a personal pan pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that.
Friends for 30 years, we've been writing comedy. Now we run a bed and brunch in the Hudson Valley.
Hudson Valley Ballers. What?
What?
Look at our lady. Oh, she's all ours.
Okay, don't talk to me right now. I gotta let this...
Oh, it smells like hope here, James.
This basic country shit is gonna kill me! Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh!
This is what's happening right now. Get your gay ass up. Come on. This is our new life. We're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna escort me in like we're at the wedding of our souls and our hearts.
Yeah, I just hope it has a bathroom.